third round of the 1983 NIT action between Oregon State and the Bulldogs of Fresno State. My name is Mike Gleason, along with Pat Ogle. And the Beavers of Oregon State come into tonight's game with a 20-10 record. They finished up at 12-6 in Pac-10 play for a third-place finish. The first time in 3 years they did not walk off with the Pac-10 championship. And the Bulldogs, of course, come in with a 22-10 record. Both teams with 2 victories in the NIT play, of course. And Pat, the game December 4th, when the Bulldogs picked up a 43-42 victory here at the Gill Coliseum. Both teams playing much better than that first contest.
No doubt about that. There's a little bit of different type of personnel in. When Fresno State played Oregon State here in December, Danny Evans was not playing. He had viral meningitis at that time, and yet he was a senior coming back. They were counting on heavily. He has been the key for them in their NIT action. In fact, against New Orleans, he came out, hit his first 5 shots on the floor, and got the first 10 points. And so he is the main difference. Both Green and Sitton, their other 2 top scorers, had pretty good games in that first one. But for Fresno State, it's really interesting to look at the statistics, because their starting lineup, Bradley only had 4 points. Mitch Arnold had no points. Desi Barmore was not playing effectively at that time of the year. He had 3 points. Ronnie Anderson had 2 points and 2 rebounds. Now, Bernard Thompson had probably the best game of his career at Fresno State in that first game with 22 points, and he had about 12 rebounds. So it was a good ball game for Bernard, not for the other players, but they've both played much better. They're both coming off impressive win streaks, with Oregon State winning 13 of 15, and Fresno State with their streak going of 11 of 12. So it should be a great ball game.
Now, the officials of tonight's game will be from the Big 8. It'll be interesting to see. Of course, Charlie Sitton, a fantastic collegiate basketball player, but he's been known to play very physical, very aggressive. And now these officials from the Big 8 have not officiated with Charlie Sitton. So it'll be interesting to see if he can get away with some of that physical stuff.
I think we're about ready here in Gill Coliseum to announce the starting lineups, and let's join Ed Carlson at the public address announcer.
First for the Bulldogs of Fresno State University. At forward, wearing number 34 at 6'6 and a half, a junior from Phoenix, Arizona, is Bernard Thompson. At forward, wearing number 35 at 6'7", a junior from Chicago, Illinois, is Ron Anderson. At center, number 40 at 6'7", a senior from Lent, Alabama, Desi Barmore. At guard, number 4, 5'9", a senior from Chicago, Illinois, Tyrone Bradley. At guard, number 42 at 6'4", a junior from Watson, Illinois, Mitch Arnold. And the rest of the Bulldogs. The head coach for Fresno State University is Boyd Grant. Starting now for the Beavers of Oregon State University. At forward, number 44, 6'5 and a half, a senior from Flint, Michigan, Danny Evans. At forward, number 45, 6'8 and a half, a sophomore from Portland, A.C. Green. At center, number 52. 6'8", a junior from Greenville, Charlie Sitton. At guard, number 11, 6'4", a freshman from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Darryl Flowers. At guard, number 34, 6'1", a senior from Berkeley, California, William Brew, and the rest of the Beavers. Head coach for Oregon State University, Ralph Miller.
So there's the lineups, Pat. Tonight's game, Oregon State and the Bulldogs of Fresno State. As you mentioned, the Oregon State coming in, winning 13 of their last 15. Now, their first meeting back on December 4th, they were 35-1 in Gill Coliseum. And the Bulldogs came in and snapped that, made it 35-2. As we mentioned, there's the officials, all 3 from the Big 8 Conference. And as I mentioned earlier in the telecast, the key, I think, is will Charlie Sitton be able to get away with all the physical play he's used to doing?
Well, with 3 officials, and I was talking to him before the game, I said if they enjoyed working with 3 officials or 2, because they've had experience. They do work with 3 in the Big 8, and this crew has worked together in the Big 8. This is their first NIT action this year, but they said they really like 3 officials. One of them jokingly kidded that the older you get, the more officials you like having on the floor. But with 3 officials, the fact being you can see a lot more, as we've mentioned before. And I think, the startling fact about the importance of Charlie Sitton is that in the ball games this year that Charlie has played in, the games that he has fouled out in, they lost 7 of those ball games. They only won 1 of them, and yet they're 15-2 in the ball games that he has stayed in the game.
Also, of course, the Bulldogs have to be tired. They've logged a lot of miles this past week. But one thing that stands out to me, Gill Coliseum is much louder. The crowd is more vocal than it was on the road at Jennison Fieldhouse in East Lansing. So that, who knows, maybe that could play a factor, of course, for the Beavers' benefit. Fresno State with more fans here tonight than they had Monday in East Lansing, but this arena much louder. I can barely hear you speak, Pat.
Well, and there's not that many students as there normally would be because they're on spring break as the game begins.
And this game is underway. The opening tip as Mitch Arnold gets it off to Ronnie Anderson. So the Bulldogs have possession of the ball. 3rd round, 1983 NIT action. This is Tyrone Bradley. He's picked up by Flowers, a freshman out of Milwaukee.
Man-to-man defense right now by the Beavers.
That's Danny Evans on Anderson. Bradley inside. Bernard Thompson, nice off the glass touch. He has 2. He had 22 in the first meeting back on December 4th. There's Charlie Sitton, baseline. He pops it, no good. And the rebound comes out in there by Tyrone Bradley. Here come the Bulldogs on the attack now. Mitch Arnold crosses the timeline.
Danny Evans that time just sliced right through and almost got the tip, but that was an excellent assist by Tyrone Bradley the first time down the floor as the clock was going down, 30-second clock.
Penetration, Arnold puts it up and in. Now that's something Mitch has been doing so well the last 2 or 3 games, is penetrating inside. And the deuce gives the Bulldogs a 4-0 lead now with 18:56 to go in the opening 20 minutes of play. This is Danny Evans, a senior out of Flint, Michigan.
They think the first 5 minutes against Danny Evans of the game is really important to shut him off. As we mentioned, he was 5 for 5.
Good fake by A.C. Green, comes up short, goes almost out of bounds. It's saved by Mitch Arnold. So the Bulldogs setting the momentum early in this contest. If you just joined us, 18:34 to go. It's 4-0 Bulldogs by a pair of baskets.
Bulldogs with good defense that time down the floor. Calling traveling on Tyrone as he started to make his move. It's going to be very important for Fresno State to try penetration on the Beavers defense. And Tyrone's asking him right now what he did wrong. We saw Tyrone travel last game, but that was because he was trying to make a pass. That time he was just dribbling. That doesn't happen very often.
Charlie Sitton, Mr. Everything for this basketball team. Inside to Brew, dishes it off to Danny Evans. He pops it from 16. And from the roar of the crowd, he obviously bangs that one in, 4-2. And the deficit is cut to a deuce.
Brew made that possible, though. He got the ball very low in, and when they collapsed on him, he was able to kick it out, and that's what he does well. He does not score. That press we're seeing right there is just to slow them down on the 30-second clock. It is not made to cause turnovers.
Desi Barmore coming off 3 fantastic games. Inside, there's a foul on number 52, Charlie Sitton.
And that's very important, as you mentioned earlier, and all he was doing that time was just leaning over Bernard's back and was just kind of slapping him on the arm. So that wasn't a real aggressive foul because he is a very aggressive player. All right, we're going to maybe see it, maybe not now with the live action. They say that ball went there. We see the foul of what's sitting on Bernard's back. Now, what just happened on the inbounds play, they did block it, but it went off the back of the backboard before it came inbound. So Fresno State maintains control.
17:41 to go in the opening. This is Anderson. Desi Barmore, Mitch Arnold combined, I believe, for 7 points. Nice pass to Desi inside. Reverse layup, puts it in.
No, it doesn't count. They called traveling. It was a good move. He went up, had Sitton up in the air, and then took the dribble, but moved his feet before putting the ball down.
So that's the second turnover in the ball game for Fresno State now. They still lead 4-2, 17:27 to go in the opening half. Sitton looking inside for A.C. Green. There's a foul called on Tyrone Bradley. Green tried to penetrate inside, tried to move along the lane. Sitton was obviously looking for him, and Tyrone Bradley blocked him off.
Well, I think what we're seeing right now, these officials are going to call a very tight game to start with.
Danny Evans, Sitton, baseline, hits it, 4-4, well tied up with 7:18 to go.
That is not Charlie Sitton's best shot. He's a much better driver than an outside shooter. In fact, they plan on playing him a little bit loose, and try and give him that shot and try and cut off his baseline and down the key drives. But he certainly hit that one.
Inside, Desi. Thompson scores. As I mentioned, he had 22 points, and Ralph Miller is very concerned about Thompson. Listening to the publications in the newspapers, good defensive play that time by Desi, and the Bulldogs have possession once again.
Excellent defense by Desi.
Thompson. Thompson plays with a lot of confidence. Of course, the Bulldogs only playing here once, back on December 4th, but Thompson having that great game with 22 points. Talking to him earlier this week after the Michigan State game. He talked with a lot of confidence. Baseline drive. There's a foul. Number 52. That's Charlie Sitton. That's number 2 on him of the game, and we have 16:26 to go in the first half.
What Sitton does is, because he is so aggressive, now watch when he comes out. He comes out very tight and he gets locked. His knees get locked, and then he's able to drive. Desi's able to drive, and then he has no choice but fouling.
Ronnie Anderson gives Fresno State an 4-point lead at 8-4 now. As there's another name that pops up that didn't do too much back on December 4th. Third straight game at home, NIT action. There's a foul inside. That's Desi.
All right, what the officials are doing right now, they're calling any over the back. Now, we saw it on Sitton down there, and he didn't think he particularly fouled. Desi also doesn't think that he fouled there. It was just a case of him being over the top of the back, and they're going to be looking for that carefully.
Flowers will inbound. Danny Evans. Their best perimeter shooter. AC Green inside. That's what he does best. He shot 62% from the floor. Most of his shots, 98% of his shots coming from inside. 8-6 now. That's our score. 15:54 to go in the first half. Brew knocks it out of bounds, but it goes back to Fresno State. And we're going to have a timeout on the floor with 15:53 to go in the opening half. 8-6. Bulldogs by a pair.
Back when I practiced medicine, I knew all of my patients like friends, even made house calls when folks like Billy were ill. Well, times have changed, medicine too. But Bill still gets that same good continuity of care like the old days here at the Family and Walk-In Medical Center. The best care is available when you need it. They make appointments 7 days a week and at times convenient to you. And if you call after hours, you'll be put in touch with a doctor who has your medical records at his fingertips. These folks even make house calls.
Continuity of care, the Family and Walk-In Medical Center on North 1st Street.
I'm buried in new 83s here at Frontier Chevrolet in Fresno, and to get out from under, I'm discounting $1,500 off the price of the cars and trucks you really want. Caprice Classics, diesels, Blazers, four-wheel drives, discounts in every new 83 model line, including S10s and Camaros. But please hurry. This sale ends just as soon as my inventory is reduced. So come on in and order yours out today at Frontier Chevrolet in downtown Fresno.
8-6, that's our score. 15:53 to go in the opening half here from Corvallis, Oregon. Pat, I'd like to extend a very special thanks to our friends at Pacific Telephone back in Fresno for their help in getting the game to our viewers back home. The video line that was to carry our picture from Corvallis to Fresno was washed out by a mudslide yesterday, and they put in some hard work and extra hours, and they ran the signal through a different circuit to bring the Bulldogs home. So very, very special thanks to the Pacific Telephone people back home.
There we see some of the other games being played tonight, and we'll be having final scores on those, I'm sure, during the first half because the other two games being in the East Coast. Some pretty good pressure. They want to get it to Tyrone here, let him bring it down the floor. But again, Brew's not trying to take the ball away from him, just slow him down a little bit.
Bulldogs shooting a perfect 4 for 4 from the floor thus far for 100%. The Beavers are 3 for 5 for 60. Anderson, nice drive off the glass, misses the shot, rebound goes to Thompson, nice touch. Rebound comes down to Brew. So the Beavers have a chance to tie it up at 8 apiece. Woodside checks in the lineup, the 6'10 freshman from Oregon.
He played a lot in the first game when Danny Evans was on the bench as we get the ball over here. Now that's our first action of the year. Did you see that? A one-handed stop on that bad pass. But Woodside did start the game. And he's still making some freshman mistakes and trying to get into Ralph Miller's system, which is a very intense pressure type of defense situation. They certainly aren't as strong. In fact, after the Fresno State game is when they went to their smaller but quicker lineup as soon as Evans was able to get in the game.
Beavers had 21 turnovers in the first meeting. That's knocked out of bounds. It goes back to Fresno State, however. The Beaver fans don't agree with the officials, but I think it was a good call.
Well, no doubt about it. Bernard would not just throw the ball out of bounds. It was hit as he was starting to go up on his drive.
14:59 to go. 8-6. Bulldogs by a pair. As I mentioned earlier, third straight NIT home appearance for the Beavers of Oregon State. Bulldogs fresh off their victory in East Lansing Monday night. Rebound, A.C. Green. Off the miss from Mitch Arnold. Here comes Brew across the timeline.
The Beavers are really getting the ball down court, either on the out of bounds after a made shot or on missed shots. Not so much a fast break, but just trying to get that quick outlet pass.
Danny Evans, bingo, 8-8. We have a tie game at 14:30. Evans, as Pat pointed out, when he's hot, he's hot.
Hit his first 5 shots from the floor, the first 10 points against New Orleans, and along with their pressure defense, New Orleans was never in the game after the first 5 minutes.
When he's hot, he's the kind of player, let's say if he takes 15 shots, that's T-Bone. T-Bone misses, and now the Beavers have the chance to take the lead. Evans is the kind of player, if he should take 15 shots, when he's hot, he can hit 11 or 12. That's the kind of stats he has. This is Flowers, the freshman out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Green, Brew, back to A.C. Green. We have a foul on Fresno State.
What Fresno State should not have done is jump out at Brew like that, because they would like him to shoot out there. He is not a scorer from there. His points come underneath. Not that he can't hit a shot, but go ahead and let him take that percentage shot. What happened? They got him up in the air, then he was able to dish off, and then they got the foul. Flowers has not shot well this year as a freshman, just around 40%. But he'll come because he's an excellent talent.
Woodside. This is A.C. Green. Nice fake. 15-footer. He buries it. We have a 10-8 Oregon State lead now. 13:33 to go. Of course, Scott Fury and Craig Reed coming up at halftime with the Bulldog halftime report. As Pat mentioned, we should have some finals of other NIT scores, but right now here's some unofficially some games that have not been completed. Wake Forest leading South Carolina 47-42 in the second half. TCU trailing Nebraska at halftime 36-19. Desi way outside. Very low percentage shot for Barmore that time, and here come the Beavers on the attack. They lead by 2.
There was 5 seconds left on the clock. Now what Green did there, if he came down, it was a traveling call, but he just dropped it. And Brew was in position to come over and get the ball. As Flowers hit the shot, Boyd Grant said it's time for a timeout.
So we're going to take a timeout, Pat, with 12:50 to go in the opening 20 minutes of play. Beavers by 4, 12-8.
There is a better way to get there. Perhaps you hadn't noticed.
Come ride with us.
In my business, you have a lot of ups and downs, need a lot of friends. That's why it's refreshing to find a bank that cares about Fresno as much as I do. The Bank of Fresno, helping the community grow and prosper. Like many of you, the Bank of Fresno has its roots here in the valley, and it's given a start to many businesses as well as commercial construction, and of course homes all over the area. So bring your banking home to the Bank of Fresno, Fresno's bank.
12 minutes, 50 seconds to go in the opening half of play here from Corvallis. At 12-8, the Beavers owning a 4-point lead. Pat, I'd like to welcome Cliff Bolivar back to the press table with us. Cliff was with us back on December 4th. And here's something he points out very interesting. Coming out of the last break, I talked about Fresno State going 4 for 4. Since then, they are 0 for 5. Oregon State, after going 0 for 2, they're 6 for 6, and that gives them a 12-8 advantage.
And Fresno State's baskets the last 2 times down the floor have had to be outside shots. Desi taking one that, this is a matchup they don't particularly want. Mitch Arnold having to bring the ball up.
Almost stolen away. It's knocked out of bounds by A.C. Green.
And A.C. Green, if we saw him, we didn't see him there, but he was jumping up the air, and we had it right in front of us. He did tip the ball, but it then went off Desi's hands. And so the official was blocked off from that a little bit, so he was upset and he had a right to be. But Fresno State is not getting the ball inside, as we started to say the last 2 times down the floor, as they did. There's something, you're right, there's something wrong with the shot clock because it has 9 seconds on it right now.
batted around. There's a whistle underneath against Desi Barmore on the offensive end of the court. Going for that offensive rebound, going over the back, I believe, of Danny Evans.
The reason we said there couldn't have only been 9 seconds, even though it took them a long time to get the ball up, there was less than 10 seconds getting the ball across half court, and they certainly didn't take that long to get it down to 9 seconds.
Inside, AC Green. Looking for Woodside underneath. Sitting, as you remember, checked out. Nice pass. There's a offensive foul called on the freshman out of Milwaukee, Darryl Flowers.
Excellent anticipation by Bernard Thompson that time, but I'll tell you, that play was wide open. Watch it now on the replay. Bernard just saves it by jumping over there and getting in position, but he was going to dish off for an open shot for Steve Woodside. A very close call. It could have gone either way on that particular one.
So the Bulldogs trail by 4 at 12-8, 12 minutes left in the opening 20 minutes of play. Fresno State coming out hot, having their problems now.
Well, both of these teams are much alike in that they play great defense, and if their offenses get disorganized, they tend to get frustrated.
Desi with Woodside on him. Desi had the 7-footer in Willis on Monday night against Michigan State. Nice play that time, but he comes up short. Bernard Thompson, and Brew comes down with the rebound and saves it from going out of bounds.
But you see, they're making a quarter of the length pass, getting the ball down very quickly.
Woodside to Flowers. Flowers back over to Brew.
Brew is just the offensive leader.
Brew sneaking down the lane, back door, but they didn't sight him. Stolen away by Ron Anderson. Here come the Dogs now. Desi Barmore challenged by Brew. Barmore puts it up. Reverse layup. It scores. 12-10. Bulldogs trail by 2.
Super athletic shot there as he protected himself because Brew caught up with him, the faster man, but he was able to protect him with his body, shield him away from the ball, and go up with the right-handed layup reverse.
Woodside almost stolen away by Ron Anderson as Woodside put the dribble down. Evans goes to Woodside. Woodside scores.
That was a tremendous pass by Evans that time. He could only drop it in that one little area, and he did exactly that because there was good defense front and back.
Ralph Miller getting the Oregon Player of the Year in high school ranks 3 straight years. First of all, Charlie Sitton, last year AC Green, and this year Steve Woodside, the young man who just scored the last bucket. Inside, Bernard Thompson, good defensive play by Danny Evans that time, coming from the blind side. Here comes Brew as he comes up with the steal and the score. 16-10. Oregon State by 6. That's their biggest lead in the ball game.
Brew anticipated that pass very well. You cannot throw across court with an excellent defense because they're too good of athletes and anticipate.
Well, talking with Cliff Volleyball earlier before this game started, he said back on December 4th as Tyrone pops one. 16-12 now as Bradley's deuce cuts the deficit to 4. We're under 10 minutes now at 9:45. Cliff tells me that back in December, Oregon State on a 1 to 10 scale was probably playing at a 6 or 7 clip, and now they're probably playing as good as this talent could play. Woodside inside. There's a good sign because Woodside looked very, very lost in the first meeting against Fresno State. Now he looks like he's playing with a lot of confidence out there, going to the hole.
And Desi Barmore, as he took the ball out of bounds, signaled to Boyd Grant to get someone in because he's very tired out there. And so Dave Mosbar is coming in off the bench.
As is Omel Nieves getting ready to check in. Here's Bernard. He puts it in, and it's 18-14. Back to a 4-point. 9 minutes, 6 seconds to go in the opening 20 minutes of play.
Both teams doing the same thing, trying to get the ball inside. And the last few times down the floor, the Beavers have been more successful, but Fresno State can do it just like we saw there.
Flowers misses, but AC Green will come down with the rebound as both Desi and Ron knocked it back outside.
That's right, they couldn't control it, so they tried to tip it, but that's where AC was.
I remember, they're playing without Charlie Sitton inside. Here's Desi Barmore as Danny Evans going for the alley-oop with, I believe, Woodside. I didn't see AC Green close.
I don't think there's anybody tall enough on the floor to catch that particular one.
18-14, that's our score. This is Desi all by himself, and he misses. You know, Pat, I'm always worried when a basketball player is that much alone, he'll usually miss the shot. Alley-oop, AC Green scores 20-14. It's back up to 6.
Fresno State is very tired right now because they're not getting down. Tyrone was the only player And all AC did, as Flowers brought it down, was just signal up in the air, and that's all he had to do, because there's no way Tyrone was going to stop that pass.
William Brew on Bernard Thompson. That's a 6'6.5" player against a 6'1". Nice play that time by Anderson. Penetrates inside, goes up with the left-hand layup, and he cuts the lead to 4 at 20-16.
But you can tell when a team is tired, because we saw Woodside cut to the basket very easily, and then Fresno State not getting down the floor.
Baseline, Flowers. Good steal. Here comes Ron Anderson now. Will he slow it up? He'll take it right to the hole and scores. 20-18 in the ballgame now for Ron Anderson is 6 points.
I'll tell you, William Brew right now looks pretty tired too as he comes down with the floor. He was holding his side there for a second. So it's a very high-paced game that we have going right now. But Ron Anderson, the last 2 times, cutting it to 2.
Woodside trying to face the basket. Plays a lot more aggressive than he did back on December 4th. AC Green misses everything this time. Bernard Thompson comes down with the rebound, almost throws it out of bounds. And we have another turnover as Tyrone Bradley, they're calling him for stepping out of bounds or walking. I can't see, Pat.
I think they said his foot was on the line, and of course the Fresno State bench is right there, and they couldn't believe it. I remember the last time we were here that the player went completely out of bounds and they couldn't see it. But we're going to have a break now. Fresno State getting within 2, 20-18.
Right now at Fresno Dodge, we're selling more cars and trucks than ever because we have what people want. Dodge Colt, lowest priced car in California. Dodge Omni, #1 in gas mileage. Custom vans, pickups, 4-wheel drives, plus big factory rebates and low 11.9 financing. At Fresno Dodge, we have what people want. Big selection, low prices. Nobody has more to offer. Remember, that's nobody, but nobody.
Capture the good times with the Sharp video camera and recorder from Gatchawks. Sharp's QC50 color video camera is convenient and easy to use with wide focus zoom lens and removable microphone. The VC3500 video recorder includes 3-speed 8-hour recording, 2-way video search, and it's lightweight and compact for real portability. The manufacturer's list price is $1,550. Now get both for just $999.95. So get a sharp picture every time from Gatchawks.
20-18, the Bulldogs have cut the deficit to 2 points now with 6:54 to go in the opening 20 minutes of play. The Bulldogs shooting 53%.
And we have a final score in the NIT tonight as Nebraska jumped out to a big lead in the first half and defeated TCU 67-57. TCU having to play all 3 games on the road all over the United States. Fresno State, of course, having to go to Michigan State. As we came out of that timeout, we saw the Fresno State Song Girls out on the floor, and they were able to bring all of 22 members of the Pep squad, but only 13 can be on the floor at halftime. So they're going to switch about 6 at halftime.
I mentioned the percentage. Fresno State shooting 53%. The Beavers are shooting 71%. That's an astronomical number there for the first half of play for the hometown Beavers.
Fresno State now, as we have O'Mel and Dave Mosbar in the game. O'Mel Nieves and Dave Mosbar, for the last couple of times down the floor, are playing a lot tighter defense as we're down to 10 seconds now on the shot clock. Man-to-man all over.
Alan Tate in the ball game. That's number 14. Tate with the basketball. AC Green will get the jumper. No, it's partially blocked by Bernard Thompson.
Excellent play by Bernard because AC got a little step on him around, but then Bernard went over the top of him and was able to block the ball.
Alan Tate, he can score. They say he's probably a half step too slow to be playing on this level of basketball, but he can put the ball in the hole. Hasn't seen a lot of playing time in his 3 years here at Oregon State, but in high school back in Canada, he averaged 32 points a game. O'Mel Nieves. Oh! Almost makes it fall.
Boyd Grant gives him a clenched fist there. That's what they want them to do. They want them to penetrate. And we saw there, O'Mel got him up in the air and then was able to cast off and draw the foul. There was about 4 seconds left on the clock that time.
So O'Mel Nieves takes a walk to the free throw line with 5:57. There's another score. Wake Forest over South Carolina, 78-61. So Wake Forest will be heading to Madison Square Garden.
Along with Nebraska, DePaul hosting Mississippi tomorrow night. Now Cleve Lewis coming into the ball game for Bernard Thompson. Now Cleve had an excellent first game when came off the bench when we played Oregon State up here before. Coming off the bench for 8, and he did what they need to do, penetrate and get that little short jumper or drive to the lane in that first game. As O'Mel, with an excellent game against Michigan State, coming off the bench and one of the heroes of that particular game.
He was 6 for 6 against Michigan State, 1 for 2 here, but Ron Anderson gets the rebound and puts Fresno State back into the lead at 21-20 with 5:51 to go. Woodside. Alan Tate had a high game of 59 in high school for British Columbia. Woodside. There's a foul called on Mosbar. Now that, as Pat pointed out, the officials calling him very close. That one right there, maybe I'm wrong, but from where I'm sitting, that's about as close as you can get.
All right, now let's see. He doesn't do it with the body. Let's see if his hand is on pure ball. Now watch right there. He got him a little bit. You see, just a little bit with the hand. Now, I would bet you 90% of the time in the games we've played this year, that would never have been counted. But they have been very consistent, and that's all you can ask.
There's his second foul, and we're going to have a three-point play by A.C. Green. Now that one was a little more obvious as Dave was beaten to the baseline. He tried to recover, and he held down just a bit.
That pass should never have been able to be made. That was just a short pass across the lane, and AC got the inside shoulder on Dave, and then he just wheeled right around, made the easy basket, and was fouled.
So Green, 22-21, has the chance to put the Beavers back up by a deuce, and he does so. 23-21 now with 5:37 to go.
Now, Tyrone Bradley's been bringing the ball up almost the entire year. So we're gonna have to see here if O'Mel can do that, because normally they have not had O'Mel in a situation of bringing the ball up. Did a good job that time.
9 points in the game for A.C. Green. He had 14 in their first meeting. He's averaging overall 14.2. Arnold off the glass, misses, rebound, comes out to A.C. Green.
That's a good shot by Mitch. He was able to drive and tried to bank it off the glass.
He's probably their best rebounder. This is Danny Evans getting in some problems inside. Woodside. Green, they say, is the best offensive rebounder since Lonnie Shelton, now with the Seattle Supersonics. AC, we're going to have a foul called on number 20, Cleve Lewis.
AC going backdoor, just cutting to the basket, and Cleve was just about a step behind him, as we'll see in the replay, and had to foul him as he tried to grab for the ball.
That's his first foul, team foul at number 7.
4 minutes, 54 seconds to go before this first half goes down in the record books. A reminder, Scott Fury coming up with a Bulldog halftime report. Also, after this game is history, Casey Channel 24, and Scott Fury, Pat, and myself will be going a half hour with the post-game festivities. A.C. Green walking up to the stripe for the second time. 69% from the line this year, 23-21. Beavers lead by 2, and he misses the shot, and the Bulldogs come down with a rebound.
That was the 17th foul by Fresno State. That's why AC was up there in the one-on-one situation.
Nieves finding an opening, puts it up. Woodside comes down with the rebound, and here comes Alan Tate. Watts, reverse layup, scores 25-21, and the Beavers are back up by 4.
That must have been some clean swipe of the ball by O'Mel when he went up that time, because it was knocked out of his hand, and he just had to throw it up there.
So we're going to take another timeout. There's our score, 25-21, Beavers by 4.
This Saturday is Super Saturday at JCPenney. Time to snap up super savings throughout the store. Selected girls' fashion dresses as colorful as eggs in an Easter basket are to be found at up to 50% off, and his three-piece suit places him at the head of any fashion parade. Saturday priced at just $29.99. They'll step out stylishly in selected fashion footwear, 25% to 50% off this Super Saturday. These and many more savings buys on Super Saturday at JCPenney.
Welcome to a wonderful world of fine furniture at Kirkwood's Design Gallery. Our designers want to show you this game set that makes sense.
We have 3 chair styles, contemporary, French, and Italian, and tables to match. And best of all, they fold for easy storage.
If you need extra seating for dining, what could be more practical? Chair prices start at just $30. All this can be yours from Kirkwood's Design Gallery, your choice for distinctive home furnishings.
25-21, the Beavers holding a 4-point advantage with 4.5 minutes to go before the first half, before the teams head for the locker room. And Pat, I guess the bottom line, we're seeing just about what we expected. Both teams playing very well.
Well, excuse me, Mike. Let's not lose sight of the fact, though, that Charlie Sitton has been sitting on the bench for the last 10 minutes, and that's when Oregon State has gotten up by the 4 points and the 6 points. You know, the first game, Fresno State feels they won that, even though they won it on a 3-point play by Bernard with 51 seconds left in the game. They felt they won the game on their fast break. They had more transition fast breaks, and they felt that would be the key to this particular game. So far, I think we've seen Oregon State break better. They maybe have not gotten the ball in the hoop off a fast break every time, but they're getting the ball up the court quicker. And some of that is due, of course, to that full court pressure being put on by Oregon State. You know, as the timeout was called there and they got in the huddle, Boyd Brew is questioning that foul. He says that Mitch elbowed him, but Boyd had O'Mell go out and talk to the official and just ask him how in the world that wasn't a foul down there at the other end. And it's very important to let the officials know that you're cognizant of you know, the type of officiating, so that they'll pay attention too. Not that they're not, but again, it never hurts to bring it to their attention that you don't agree. And that's the way you're supposed to do it. Send a player out and have them ask, and O'Mell's the captain on the floor right now.
Scoring in the ball game for the Bulldogs, 8 points for Ronnie Anderson, 6 for Bernard Thompson. Desi hasn't seen the ball a whole lot down low. He has a 1 bucket for the evening so far. 4 minutes left in the first half. It's 25-21. Beavers lead by 4. Arnold misses it outside. AC Green gets the rebound.
And that was about 3 seconds left on the clock. So Oregon State is doing a much better job of getting Fresno State to have to run down the clock.
Alan Tate, good outside shooter. This is Evans. Woodside. Tate from outside. He won't make this one. Rebound comes down to Ron Anderson now. We're under 4 minutes at 3.5. 25-21.
I don't think Fresno State, other than Tyrone's jumper, if it really hit an outside shot. Mitch hit one in a little bit closer.
Desi falls short on that shot. Bernard gets the rebound. He misses. Tipped by Desi Barmore goes in. It's 25-23.
Great hustle, but that's why you want Charlie sitting in there for Oregon State. If you're for them, that probably would not happen because he really controls the board. Very muscular, very aggressive.
William Brew from 12. Buries it. All net. Tickles the twine. 27-23 now. Back up by 4. William Brew. Boy, coming out of high school, he had the decision, either come to Oregon State to play basketball. He turned down the football scholarships from Notre Dame, USC, UCLA, and Washington. All very well-known football collegiate schools. There's a whistle inside, number 34, William Brew picking up another foul.
And that's their 7th team foul, so Fresno State will be going to the team. I thought it was their 7th team foul. They had 5 up there, and I thought they'd fouled twice since then. But I guess not. You know, but William Brew and Danny Evans, having played 4 years here, are the first Oregon State Beavers ever to have played on 4 20-game or more winning seasons. And with their win against New Orleans, that's going to be traveling. That was a good call. With their win against New Orleans in the second round of the NIT, that made it 20 victories for Oregon State, their 4th straight year to do that. Of course, this is the second time that Fresno State has played the Beavers this year, having defeated them earlier. And you have to go back to 1949, the first year that Gill Coliseum was built, that any team has beaten Oregon State 2 times at home in the same year.
AC Green getting the offensive rebound, another chance, but he missed the shot as Desi pulls it down. That's what AC Green does best, probably their best offensive rebounder. It's kicked out of bounds by Oregon State, so it comes back Fresno State's way. A trickle of disapproval through the Beaver crowd here tonight. They must have close to 10,000. It fits 10,000. I don't see too many empty seats here tonight. 1:57 to go before the first half is history. Inside, Anderson off the glass, misses the shot, but Desi's there for the follow-up.
Fresno State controlling the offensive board.
27-25. 1:44 to go.
And I'm surprised that Ralph Miller did not bring Sitton back in after the last timeout. He did have 2 fouls, but you can go in with 3 fouls and maybe not worry as much.
Danny Evans downtown. Danny Evans buries it from downtown. 29-25, back up to 4. Evans averaging around 10-5 this year. Tyrone Bradley outside. He finds the range, 29-27, back to 2. To think back when the season started, so many Bulldogs. There's the steal by Tyrone, but it goes out of bounds before he can regain possession. We're under a minute now, 59 seconds. And to think back when this 1982-83 season started, and the Bulldogs outside shooting, everyone thought they couldn't do so, but I think they were afraid to pull up and pop from outside. All 5 of their starters very well capable of shooting the 10, 15, 16 footer. Mitch Arnold having some difficulties with the official right in front of the scorer's table. That's Alan Tate inbounding it to Danny Evans. 58 seconds, 29-27. The Beavers lead by a deuce. Tate gets the open lane, dishes off. Here's the steal by Mitch Arnold. Beaver fans want a carrying the ball turnover called. No such thing. 43 seconds now. Arnold on top of the key. Desi inside. Nice pass. Bernard stolen away. We have a jump ball, and it goes back to, I believe, Oregon State. It's their turn. Wait a minute. He changed the call. He first of all called a jump ball. Let's take another look at this one. He first called a jump ball, and then he changed the call. So, an obvious disapproval, as you can see on your screen. It's the Red Wave against the Orange Express here tonight from Corvallis, Oregon. Bernard Thompson walks up to the line, and he hits the first one, 29-28. Both teams battling for the right to head for the Big Apple. Bernard misses the second shot. Here comes Danny Evans on the break now, 34 seconds. Mitch Arnold with another steal. But the possession is retained by Woodside as Arnold makes a good effort to save the ball. But the Beavers have it. They lead by a point, 29-28, 20 seconds to go. Sitton still hasn't seen action. Alan Tate, Evans, working for the last shot, 9 seconds. Brew, Woodside, top of the key. In and out, no good, 5 seconds. Here comes Anderson now, 3. Throws it out of bounds with 1 second to go, but there's the horn sounding the first half of play with Oregon State leading Fresno State by a point, 29-28. Coming up very shortly, here comes Ralph Miller across the floor. Pat Ogle will be talking with the head Beaver in just a couple of seconds. Does not look too very happy. Pat, let's send it down to you with Ralph Miller.
Okay, Coach, you had a 5 or 6 point lead. And you saw Fresno State came back. That couldn't make you happy.
Whenever you make mistakes, Fresno is a kind of team that will capitalize on them, and this is exactly what they've done in the first half, and that's why we have a ball game on our hands. And I'm sure the second half will be pretty much the same.
You kept Charlie sitting on the bench. You got 2 quick fouls, but you never put him back in. What was your reasoning on that?
Well, we weren't behind. We were still ahead. We still are. Now he has 2 fouls, and he has the second half to go. He's well rested. We'll hope it pays off.
You expect Fresno State maybe to be more tired in the second half just because of the traveling they've done recently, and you're pressuring them all over the court?
I don't know. They're a well-conditioned team, and they play hard all the time. There, I suppose, is a possibility of that, but who's to tell?
Thank you for taking the time to talk to us, Coach. Mike?
Thank you very much, Pat. Pat Ogle with the third on the list of winningest active major college coaches, and Ralph Miller. It's halftime, 29-28. The Beavers leading the Bulldogs by a point. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Good morning, Mike.
This is KNU, Easy 103.
Hey, when did you start listening to KNU?
Started over the weekend. A lot of people I know are talking about its new sound.
Well, what do you think?
Oh, I like it. KNU plays my favorite songs, old and new, but in an easy style that's kind of relaxing. What do you think?
I think you ought to turn up the radio.
Listen to the new KNU, Easy 103 FM. Fresno's nice and easy music station.
It ends this weekend, so drop everything. And hurry on down to Toyota's Drop Everything sales event.
Wherever you see this sign, you'll know that Toyota dealers are trying to reach their sales goal of 14,000 trucks. And that could mean a real truck deal. So drop everything and come on down. 83 trucks at or below 82 sticker prices. Special incentives from Toyota 2 dealers could save you big money. It's Toyota's big Drop Everything sales event. So drop everything and come on down. Oh, well, it's almost over anyway.
Wish there was a book you could turn to for answers to really tough questions your family faces? Now there is. It's called Dr. Dobson Answers Your Questions, written by America's foremost Christian family counselor. You'll get advice on over 400 questions, 30 topics in all. Dr. Dobson Answers Your Questions.
For answers to your family's questions, why not pick up Dr. Dobson's newest family aid, Dr. Dobson Answers Your Questions. Available at all 3 Fresno Bible House locations.
Gottschalk's 2 most popular Barca loungers are now on sale. Your choice now $399. Select the ever-popular Sir Charles Lounger in Easy Care Vinyl, regularly $480, or the plush Softy Rocker Recliner in Velvet, regularly $450. Now take your choice of these 2 Barca loungers, just $399. Whether you want vinyl or velvet, casual or contemporary, you can't go wrong paying just $399 for a Barca lounger. Right now, only at Gottschalk's.
The CSUF Athletic Authority has been granted approval rights in the selection of sportscasters for this broadcast.
The first half of tonight's NIT special has been brought to you in part by Gottschalk's. For over 78 years, the Valley's leading fashion department store.
Well, in another 20 minutes of college basketball here from Corvallis, Oregon, either Oregon State or Fresno State can start making their plans for traveling to the Big Apple for the semifinals and possible the finals of the 1983 NIT. It's halftime. Oregon State leading Fresno State by a point, 29-28. And with that note, let's send it back to the studios in Fresno, California with Scott Fury and tonight's Bulldog halftime report. Scott?
All right, Mike, thanks a lot. First of all, let's recap the other NIT quarterfinal scores. Nebraska beat Texas Christian at home, 67-57. Back in North Carolina, ACC's Wake Forest trounces South Carolina, 78-61. The final NIT quarterfinal takes place tomorrow night. DePaul hosting Ole Miss there. The NC2A West Regional, the Battle of Cinderellas, currently belongs to NC State. At the half, the Wolfpack leads Utah 30-26. In Game 2 at Ogden, coming up a little bit later on, Virginia will face Boston College. Back in Knoxville, Tennessee, we have the Mideast Regional. Kentucky ousts Indiana 64-59. In Game 2, Louisville leads Arkansas 37-27. Won't that be a matchup? Kentucky-Louisville, should Louisville go on and win that game. Joining me now with some of his thoughts on the game, Craig Reed, a member of the National Basketball Writers Association. And Craig, hey, I'm surprised that it's as close as it is. I really am, because the Bulldogs had a couple opportunities to fold, but they have hung tough with Oregon State.
Well, I think the first thing you've got to point out is the courage of the referees involved in the game, if you're looking at it from a Fresno State standpoint. When they called the 2 fouls in the beginning of the game on Charles Sitton, they sent a message to Coach Ralph Miller and Coach Grant that they were not going to tolerate a lot of extracurricular bumping and shoving. That was very important because Oregon State, like TCU, likes to play a game where they foul you on almost every play. Not TCU, UTEP, the team we played in the first round of this tournament, where they foul you on every play, figuring the referee can't call everything. But when they got the 2 quick ones on Sitton, that sent a message, and Oregon State went into a lot less aggressive defense, which allowed Fresno to shoot so well.
Speaking of defense, they went to the man-to-man, and at that point, Fresno State's offense went cold.
That's an interesting point. Normally, Fresno State doesn't do well against zones, but tonight Oregon State started out in a zone defense, what's called a 3-2 matchup zone, which we'll diagram shortly. When they came out in that defense, Fresno State penetrated very well, showed the best offensive patience that I've seen them show this year, and they made their first 4 shots. It was at that point that Coach Miller turned to the zone, the man-to-man, and once he did that, Fresno State missed 6 shots in a row before they regrouped and went back to their original strategy, which was getting the ball inside. Can we go over and look at the paint?
All right, Craig, before we do that, we wanted to go ahead and do that, and I think on the shot chart, as you'll point out, first of all, let's look at Oregon State and look at their shots aren't that impressive.
Okay.
The area.
Oregon State got a total of 13 shots in the area we call the paint, which is underneath the basket. Of those 13, they made 7. Fresno State, on the other hand, got 23 shots in this area, which is superb. A coach cannot ask for any more. They made 11 of the 23, but Coach Grant has got to be encouraged because if they just shoot a little bit higher percentage in the second half, they have a good chance of repeating their performance in East Lansing and pulling out this ball game. Also, it must be pointed out that Oregon State had to take 12 shots from the outside, which you see this area, 12 feet are out, and they made 7, while Fresno State only took 8, in which they made 3, and a couple of those, such as these two up in the corner, Desi Barmore and Mitch Arnold took with just a few seconds left on the 30-second clock, so they weren't by design.
Okay, Craig, going to be an interesting second half, and the Bulldogs are used to putting on that big second half. They had 52 points against Michigan State. What can we look for in the second half?
A key factor is going to be the bench. Coach Miller was able to get away with taking Charlie Sitton out with 10 minutes left in the game, and the people that he put in, he didn't just put in Woodside for Sitton, he also put in Tate, combined for, I'd say, 8 to 10 points. Meanwhile, Mel Neves, Dave Mosbar, and Cleve Lewis combined for a total of 2 points. Yeah. So Oregon State's lead can be attributed to the bench.
Been a problem all year long, that bench. Late in the season, though, we pointed that out before. Okay, thanks, Craig. We're coming back with some first half highlights after this.
You can go all the way, a job with a future that pays.
I got tired of having one job after another. I wanted a career that would give me a chance to travel and to afford the things I wanted. Electronics offers me those opportunities and more.
A career in electronics can be yours. At Westland College, you'll receive hands-on training experience to get the skills you need to earn a well-paying career in electronics. Call Westland College and make a change in your life today.
Or you'll miss your stage.
There's still time to qualify for a major tax break if you get aboard at Wells Fargo Bank now. Invest in a Wells Fargo Bank individual retirement account before April 15th. And this year and every year, you can give yourself a shelter of up to $2,000 from taxes and not pay a cent on earnings until you retire.
Hey, thanks for the break.
Wells Fargo Bank's IRA.
Catch the excitement. Catch the excitement of the good company players at Roger Rockets Music Hall. Fun, food, frolic, excitement, entertainment, good times. Give yourself a treat you deserve. Join us for a wonderful dinner and a fantastic live stage performance. And now, a show you've been waiting for. The heartwarming, beautiful, song-filled, romantic Sound of Music. There are good seats available for the Sound of Music, but demand is high, so don't delay. Call for reservations now at 266-9494. The Sound of Music at Roger Rockets Music Hall. It's for you.
You're the Pepsi generation, dancing all across the nation. Oh, what a time, what a perfect time. It's gonna be Pepsi now. Oh, what a time, it's gonna be Pepsi now. What a time for living, it's gonna be Pepsi now. The winning taste is Pepsi, it's gonna be Pepsi now.
We're at halftime. Fresno State trailing Oregon State 29-28. Let's take a look at some of the early first half highlights. Unlike Michigan State game, Fresno State held the hot hand tonight, counting their first 4 shots, moving out to an early 8-4 lead. But Danny Evans was just as hot, hitting from long range. The 18-footer tied the game at 8. The basket was part of an 8-point run by the Beavers. They took their first lead 12-8. That's Flowers. Fresno State helped out by going cold, missing its next 6 shots, a string that was finally ended by Desi Barmore right there. But Oregon State started to cut loose. This is William Brew showing good anticipation on the steal, going for 2. And one thing's for sure, the Beavers can run. This is A.C. Green going high, giving Oregon State a 6-point lead. But the Dogs did not fold. That's important. They relied on that defense to stay close. Ron Anderson with a nice effort there, going in for 2. And as we mentioned, it's Oregon State leading at the half, 29-28. We'll go to the break now and go back to Oregon after this.
Chris Christensen, salesman, Hallowell Chevrolet.
I don't like to be pushed when I go out and buy something. We're on the level. We're just letting you know what we have to offer you and giving you the choice. Today, people are more aware of their needs than they ever have been, so we got to know the right answers. To not know is doing him an injustice. No one's going to shove the car down their throat or try to. And if I can assure him of that and follow through with it, that makes him a customer for life. That's our business. That's what we're there for.
Here at Gottschalk's, we're clearing our warehouses of thousands of blemished and discontinued tires. Major brands like General, Dunlop, Semfrit, and Armstrong.
All are marked for quick sale. Many are one of a kind, and all are limited in quantity. Take this Ram 4-ply polyester white wall, just $34.95. That's right, $34.95 plus FET for the big G7815 size, perfect for most full and mid-size cars. So hurry to Gottschalk Spring Tire Clearance, now at all Gottschalk Tire Centers.
To keep office procedures as up-to-date as field operations, large multi-enterprise farm and packer shippers turn to Bridge Computer Systems of San Leandro. Bridge provides proven agricultural software for today's agribusiness. Bridge software systems are installed ready to use, and Bridge helps you convert from your manual system. Your employees are trained in your office. Learn more about Bridge Agricultural Software Systems San Leandro. Call 415-483-9786.
Coors is the beer made for the way you
Where's
really
everyone?
like to drink beer.
Who ever heard of a bachelor party without a lot of beer?
Taste first beer, fresh Coors after Coors.
You can taste that freshness Coors after Coors, because only Coors is kept cold from brewery to store, never exposed to extreme heat like other beers.
Coors is the beer made for the way you really like to drink beer.
Coors after Coors.
The second half of tonight's NIT special is being brought to you in part by Gottschalk's. For over 78 years, the Valley's leading fashion department store. And by Coors, made for the way you really like to drink beer.
It's halftime in Corvallis, and we'll be back with the second 20 minutes of play right after this commercial message.
As my broker, George, I thought you ought to know. I made an investment without you.